Darnell Marcus Lamar FIZER, born August 10, 1978. Today's feature is one of those stories you hate to write and feel disappointed it has to happen to so many players with talents we rarely get to see. Following the Jordan era in the early 2000s, the Chicago Bulls went through a difficult transition in efforts to find the right pieces to build the franchise around. After the 97-98 season, where they won 62 games, the Bulls went the next 3 years without winning at least 20 games and 6 straight years missing the postseason. In the 2000 NBA draft, with their highest lottery pick since Elton Brand went number 1 a year prior, Chicago thought Marcus FIZER, who plays the same position as their current Rookie of the Year, would be a good shot in the dark to change that. Unfortunately for the Bulls, whoever was shooting was definitely shooting in the dark, because if you look at their draft picks since Jordan left, outside maybe Brand and Artest, I don't even think it's a G League roster until at least LaMarcus Aldridge and Derrick Rose. Nevertheless, FIZER came in fresh off college success and lots of winning to a situation as such as the 4th overall pick, and expectations began. His start wasn't bad at all. In fact, in just his second year, he was looking like he could be a real player should he add a few points and rebounds here and there. Most certainly looked at least healthy. But then things quickly changed, and not long after, he was out of the league and fighting tooth and nail to get back. As the years go by, his name as a basketball player is more and more forgotten, and here are 3 reasons why Marcus FIZER's growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Quick reminder, if you want exclusive content like workout videos, ad-free features before they release here, and more, head over to the Patreon page now and become a supporter of pushing these stories and efforts to help any young hooper not have their growth stunted. It's something I wish I had but didn't, so it's my offering to you. Appreciate you guys. Please drop a like and comment on this video and let me know who I should do next. Enjoy the video. Marcus FIZER was a 6'8" power forward from Michigan that played his high school ball in Louisiana, where by his senior year he was a McDonald's All-American. He would choose to attend Iowa State and coach Tim Floyd as his college choice, becoming the only McDonald's All-American to play for the program at the time. He came in and made an immediate impact physically and emotionally. At 262 pounds, he looked more like an NFL lineman than a basketball player and took advantage of his size, which there were no match in the Big 12 and eventually at that level. By his sophomore season, he had a new coach and showed a new ability in handling the ball like a guard with the speed and quickness that made him an interesting watch on the college level. It stood out how big of a player he was, but was blowing by the entire team and taking off for a slam or finishing at the rim with his bully of size. I'm sure at this point, NBA teams noticed the uniqueness and all got in line to land this rare talent. Stunt number 1, opportunity. The Chicago Bulls, who were blindfolded by Michael Jordan when he left the team, or at least that's what it seemed like MJ did, got the chance to select Marcus FIZER 4th overall and were excited to implement his abilities. Ones that saw his production increase every year in college to the point as a junior he was averaging 23 points and 8 rebounds. He also shot 35% from 3 and his free throw shooting was decent at 73%. He was the Big 12 Player of the Year as a junior after winning the conference title and tournament championship, becoming a first-team All-American. If his game didn't excite you, his demeanor literally did. FIZER played with tons of passion that was fun to see on the floor, but was also super aggressive and wanted to dominate his competition. The Bulls, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to take FIZER after having just drafted Elton Brand, who played the same position and almost mirrored Marcus FIZER in stature, under the basket game, and weaknesses a year earlier. Immediately, he began to struggle getting on the floor behind Elton, who was averaging 40 minutes a game and already a 2010 guy coming off a Rookie of the Year. The Bulls did not need Marcus FIZER, and it hurt him having to sit behind Brand position-wise and a few others offensive depth chart-wise as well. Guys like Brad Miller, Ron Mercer, and Ron Artest, who all heard their number called before FIZER. To make matters worse, and another confusing move by the Bulls took a few more bigs in Eddie Curry and Tyson Chandler right out of high school a year later, and although weren't directly in Marcus's position, were still new front court bodies who were younger and more hyped taking minutes. Because they could play together also meant less minutes for FIZER, already fighting Brad Miller and new addition Charles Oakley. The team also added Jalen Rose, who became the leading scorer. With that said, Marcus ate solid off the scraps in his second year at 12 points and 5 rebounds a game, but could have been better had he gotten the chance. Stunt number 2, injury. Another reason FIZER didn't get the opportunity to show what he could do on the floor was because in year 3 he tore his ACL, which was huge for him. It was a very important year for a player like Marcus to show he was deserving of an extension and that he was still part of the franchise's future. The injury would be the first of 3 knee injuries he would suffer over his basketball career, and it took everything out of FIZER as a player. Already smaller in height than ideal for the position, and not much of a guy that's going to jump over his defender's reach, he needed that extra boost at the rim or first step to get by. A torn ACL in those days was not like it is today, and a guy his size with one playing a sport like basketball is all a mixture for disaster. He played just 38 minutes that season, and upon his return, he was never the same. His production dipped drastically from 12 points a game to 7 to 6 and 6 again before he couldn't find another team to take the risk of signing him. Chicago traded him in 03-04 to the Milwaukee Bucks, where he played 54 games at 17 minutes a game and 6 points. A player that size that isn't taking the right care of his body is always susceptible to injury, and Marcus fell victim to that fact. Stunt number 3, talent lost. In the words of so many former coaches and teachers over the years, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. In this case, talent lost. Admittedly, Marcus FIZER just didn't work hard enough to deserve the opportunity he didn't get, and it could be the reason he dealt with so many injuries to his body as well. In interviews over time, he admits to seeing guys like Charles Oakley work tirelessly on his body and focus on things he just weren't interested in at the time. Things like a healthy diet or rest and recovery. While Oakley and others were staying in shape and building a body that would last, FIZER was stubborn to their advice and to what he saw being taught right in front of him. At first, it hindered him getting on the court, and then it hurt his body, and no matter what, he was unable to bounce back and show he could still play in the league. He was already what you'd call a tweener, who was stuck between positions that no matter what you say about basketball being positionless, that doesn't go for every player, especially in those times. He wasn't athletic enough, especially after the injury, to not be working hard on his game, and didn't quite understand what he really had until it was gone. He'd go overseas after he couldn't latch on to an NBA team from 2006, and also in the D-League, where he won the D-League MVP for the 2005-2006 season. All in all, Marcus FIZER's story is important because it teaches you that as a hooper, you can go to a smaller school and still be seen and taken high in the draft, but you can be out of the league just as fast if you don't put in the work and understand that opportunity doesn't come over and over again. Learn from the mistakes of others and take advantage of every minute. Salute to Marcus FIZER, much respect, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth, and I'm out.